The first time I saw it, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September, and I was standing in my sister Caroline's bedroom, looking for spare batteries for her smoke detector. She'd asked me to house sit while she was away on what she called a wellness retreat in Arizona. 2 weeks of meditation, yoga, and finding herself. At 42, Caroline had always been the spiritual one in our family, constantly searching for meaning in crystals and chakras and overpriced juice cleanses. I'd agreed without hesitation. After my divorce 3 years ago, Caroline had been my rock. She'd let me cry on her couch for months, brought me soup when I couldn't eat, held my hand through the worst moments of my life. House-sitting was the least I could do. The bedroom was exactly what you'd expect from Caroline: white linens, potted succulents on every surface, a dream catcher above the bed. Everything smelled like lavender and sage. I opened her nightstand drawer, rummaging past sleep masks and essential oils, when my fingers brushed against a small velvet box tucked in the back corner. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that now. But something made me pull it out, maybe curiosity, maybe fate. The box was dusty blue, the kind jewelry stores use for expensive pieces. I flipped it open, expecting to find a necklace or earrings. Instead, I found my wedding ring. Not one that looked like mine. Not similar to mine. My actual wedding ring, a vintage Art Deco band with 3 small diamonds in a geometric setting. I'd had it custom-sized because my fingers were smaller than average. There was even the tiny inscription inside, "Forever yours, M. Michael." My ex-husband. My hands started shaking. The ring slipped from my fingers and bounced on the hardwood floor with a delicate ping that seemed too loud in the silent house. I bent down to pick it up, my breath coming in short gasps, my heart hammering against my ribs. This didn't make sense. I'd left that ring on Michael's nightstand the day I moved out. I remembered the moment clearly, placing it down next to his watch, not saying a word, just leaving it there as my final goodbye. He'd texted me weeks later asking if I wanted it back, and I'd told him to do whatever he wanted with it. Sell it. Throw it away. I didn't care. So why was it here? In my sister's jewelry box. I sat down on the edge of Caroline's bed, still holding the ring. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe Michael had given it to Caroline for safekeeping, thinking she'd return it to me eventually. Maybe Caroline had bought it from wherever Michael sold it, as some kind of sentimental gesture. Maybe. My eyes drifted to the dresser across from the bed. There was a framed photo I hadn't noticed before, partially hidden behind a tall succulent. I stood up slowly, crossed the room, and moved the plant aside. The photograph showed Caroline in a white dress, not a wedding gown exactly, but formal. Elegant. She was standing on a beach at sunset, holding a bouquet of white roses, smiling that radiant smile she had when she was truly happy. Next to her, with his arm around her waist, was Michael. My Michael. My ex-husband Michael. They were both wearing leis. There was an officiant in the background, a woman in flowing robes. And they were looking at each other the way people do when they're in love. I couldn't breathe. My vision tunneled. The room tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of the dresser to steady myself, my knuckles turning white. This had to be photoshopped. Some kind of joke. A misunderstanding. But even as I thought it, I knew it wasn't true. I knew that dress. I'd helped Caroline shop for it 2 years ago. She'd said it was for a friend's destination wedding in Hawaii. She'd been so excited, texting me photos from the dressing room, asking my opinion. I'd told her she looked beautiful. 2 years ago. We'd been divorced for 3 years. Which meant Caroline and Michael had gotten married just 1 year after my divorce was finalized. I opened the dresser drawer beneath the photo with trembling hands. Inside were more pictures, a whole stack of them. Caroline and Michael on a boat. Caroline and Michael at a restaurant, toasting with champagne. Caroline and Michael in front of what looked like a mountain cabin, both wearing matching flannel shirts and grinning like idiots. There were greeting cards too. Anniversary cards. To my beautiful wife. Happy 1 year, my love. All signed with Michael's distinctive scrawling handwriting. At the bottom of the drawer was a marriage certificate. Caroline Marie Fletcher and Michael James Anderson. Married in Maui, Hawaii. 2 years, 3 months, and 14 days ago. I sank to the floor, my back against the dresser, the marriage certificate still in my hands. Caroline and Michael. My sister and my ex-husband. The 2 people I'd trusted most in the world after my marriage fell apart. I don't know how long I sat there. The afternoon light shifted through the curtains, casting long shadows across the bedroom floor. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably work, wondering where I was, but I couldn't move to check it. My mind kept circling back to moments I'd dismissed. Overlooked. Ignored. The way Michael had asked about Caroline during our divorce proceedings. "How's your sister doing? Is she okay?" I'd thought he was being kind, concerned about her well-being during a difficult family time. The way Caroline always seemed to know things about Michael that I hadn't told her. I heard Michael got a promotion. Isn't Michael's mother going into surgery next week? I'd assumed they'd run into each other around town. We all lived in the same city. It wasn't strange. The weekend Caroline had cancelled our plans because she was sick, the same weekend Michael's social media showed him at the beach. I'd felt a twinge of something then, something I couldn't name, but I'd pushed it away. Paranoia, I'd told myself. Not everything is about him. But it was about him. It had always been about him. And about her. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and scrolled through my text messages with Caroline. There were hundreds, 3 years of daily conversations, of her supporting me, listening to me cry, telling me I deserved better. "You're going to find someone who truly values you," she'd texted just last month. Michael never appreciated what he had, she'd written after my divorce was finalized. "I'm always here for you, no matter what. You're my sister and I love you." I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I opened my messages with Michael. We didn't text often anymore, just occasional practical things about paperwork or shared acquaintances. But I scrolled back further, to the months after our separation. "I hope you're taking care of yourself," he'd written. "If you ever need anything, you know where to find me. I'm sorry things didn't work out between us. You deserved better." The same phrases. The same concern. The same lies. Had they laughed about it? Had they read my messages together, curled up on a couch somewhere, shaking their heads at poor, pathetic me who had no idea? My hands clenched around the phone. I stood up, my legs unsteady, and walked through Caroline's house with new eyes. In the living room, there was a man's jacket hanging on the coat rack, expensive, tailored. Michael's style. There were men's running shoes by the door, size 11. Michael's size. In the bathroom, a second toothbrush. Men's deodorant. Shaving cream. He'd been living here. Maybe not full-time, but regularly enough to leave his things. I opened the kitchen junk drawer and found spare keys, one labeled MS apartment. Another labeled cabin. A third labeled storage unit. In the refrigerator, there was beer. Michael's favorite brand. Caroline didn't drink beer. Every detail was a knife twist. I thought about the last 3 years. All the times Caroline had invited me over for dinner, and I'd said no because I was too tired, too depressed, too broken. Had Michael been hiding in the bedroom those nights? Waiting for me to leave so he could come out? I thought about the times I'd called Caroline crying, and she'd picked up slightly breathless. "Sorry, I was just finishing a workout," she'd say. Had she been with him? Had he been right there, listening to me fall apart? I thought about my birthday last year. Caroline had cancelled lunch with me at the last minute, a work emergency, she'd said. That same day, Michael had posted a photo of a hiking trail with the caption "Perfect day for an adventure." They'd been together. While I sat alone in my apartment, eating grocery store cake, they'd been together. The afternoon sun was setting now, painting the walls amber and gold. I walked back to the bedroom and stood in front of the dresser, looking at that photograph again. They looked happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy. And I felt something crack open inside my chest, not just anger, though there was plenty of that. Not just betrayal, though that was there too. It was the realization that I'd never really known either of them at all. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed in Caroline's house, sitting at her kitchen table in the dark, staring at the evidence I'd laid out in front of me like pieces of a puzzle I'd been too blind to see. The marriage certificate. The photos. The anniversary cards. My wedding ring, which I'd placed in the center of it all like some kind of twisted centerpiece. Around midnight, I made coffee. My hands were steadier now, though something cold had settled in my chest, a numbness that felt almost like calm. I opened my laptop and started searching. Michael's Facebook page showed almost nothing. He'd always been private on social media, even when we were married. But I clicked through his tagged photos, the ones other people had posted. There, buried 6 months back, was a group photo from someone's barbecue. Michael stood in the background, and if you looked closely, really closely, you could see a woman's hand resting on his shoulder. The hand wore a distinctive turquoise ring. Caroline's ring. The one our mother had given her. I scrolled further. A check-in at a restaurant downtown, tagged by Michael's coworker, great double date night. The date was 8 months ago. I'd had dinner with Caroline that same week. She'd told me she was focusing on herself, not dating anyone, taking time to heal her own wounds. I think I'm done with men for a while, she'd said, laughing over her wine glass. Maybe I'll become a nun. I'd laughed with her. We'd toasted to independent women who didn't need anyone. The memory made my stomach turn. I kept digging. Property records showed that the mountain cabin in the photos, the one where they'd posed together in matching flannel, had been purchased 18 months ago. Joint ownership. Caroline Fletcher and Michael Anderson. Not even married names. Just their names, side by side, bound together by a deed and a mortgage and a life I knew nothing about. I found their wedding registry. Bed Bath & Beyond. They'd registered under the Anderson family. Caroline had taken his name, apparently. Caroline Anderson. My sister had become Caroline Anderson. She'd taken my last name. Well, my former last name. The wedding had been small, according to the details I pieced together from vendor reviews and social media tags. Just 12 people in Hawaii. I recognized some of the names from the tagged photos: Michael's brother, a few of his close friends, some cousins of Caroline's I barely knew. Not our mother. Not our father. Not me, obviously. They'd gotten married in secret, told almost no one, and then came back to their regular lives as if nothing had changed. I clicked on Caroline's Instagram. She posted frequently smoothie bowls, sunset yoga poses, inspirational quotes about self-love and authenticity. The comments were full of heart emojis and "you're glowing" and "so inspiring." If only they knew. There was a post from 3 weeks ago, a photo of her hands holding a coffee cup, the turquoise ring visible on her finger. The caption read, "Sometimes the best things in life are the secrets we keep close to our hearts." Grateful for unexpected blessings. 47 people had liked it. I'd been one of them. I closed the laptop and pressed the heels of my hands against my eyes. The thing about betrayal is that it rewrites your history. Every memory I had of the past 3 years was now contaminated. Every conversation, every text message, every sisterly moment of support and love, all of it was a lie. Or maybe not a lie. Maybe that was worse. Maybe Caroline had genuinely cared about me while simultaneously sleeping with my husband. Maybe she truly wanted to help me heal while building a life with the man who'd broken me. People are capable of holding contradictions, I suppose. Of loving you and destroying you at the same time. Around 3 in the morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Caroline. "Hey. Hope house sitting is going okay. Did you find the spare key to the back gate? Should be in the kitchen drawer. Miss you." I stared at the message for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could confront her right now. Send her a photo of the marriage certificate. Ask her what the hell she'd been thinking. But something stopped me. If I confronted her now, she'd have time to prepare. Time to craft a story, an explanation, an excuse. She'd call Michael, and they'd get their stories straight. By the time she got back from her wellness retreat, if that's even where she really was, they'd have a unified front. No. I needed to be smart about this. I needed to know everything first. I deleted my typed response and wrote instead, "All good here. Found the key. House looks great. Have fun on your retreat. She responded immediately with a string of heart emojis. I set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I'd been an accountant at the same firm for 12 years, they could survive without me for a few days. Then I got in my car and drove to Michael's apartment. I still knew the address. He'd moved there after our divorce, to a modern complex on the north side of town. I'd never visited, never wanted to see where he'd rebuilt his life without me. But I knew where it was. The complex had a coffee shop on the ground floor. I parked across the street and waited. Michael emerged at 7:47 a.m., dressed in his work clothes, grey slacks, blue button-down, that leather messenger bag I'd given him for our 5th anniversary. He looked good. Healthy. Happy, even. He was on his phone, smiling at something, his face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years. He got into his car and drove away. I waited 15 minutes, then walked into the building like I belonged there. The lobby security was minimal, just a call box and a bored-looking doorman who didn't even glance up from his phone. I wasn't planning to break in. I'm not that person. But I needed to see something. Anything. There was a gym on the 2nd floor with windows overlooking the street. I went in, it was open to residents and their guests, and positioned myself on a treadmill where I could see the parking lot. I didn't have to wait long. At 9:15 a.m., Caroline's car pulled into a visitor spot. My breath caught. Caroline stepped out, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater, carrying a grocery bag. She walked into the building like she'd done it 1,000 times. Comfortable. Casual. Home. So she wasn't in Arizona. There was no wellness retreat. She was here. She'd been here the whole time. I watched her disappear into the lobby, and I felt that cold numbness spread further through my chest. She'd asked me to house sit so she could stay at Michael's apartment. So they could have my sister's house to themselves, I suppose, or maybe just to keep up appearances. To make sure I didn't get suspicious about her being unavailable for 2 weeks. They'd planned this. Coordinated it. Made sure all the pieces fit together so I'd never know. I got off the treadmill and left the gym, my mind racing. I spent the rest of the day at a coffee shop, making lists. I listed every lie I could remember. Every time Caroline had cancelled plans. Every time Michael had been conveniently unavailable. Every time their stories hadn't quite lined up, and I'd convinced myself I was overthinking it. I listed everyone who must have known. Michael's brother, definitely, he'd been at the wedding. Caroline's friend Jen, probably, she'd posted a photo from Hawaii around that time. How many others? How many people had smiled to my face while knowing my sister was sleeping with my ex-husband? I listed what I wanted to know. When had it started? Had they been having an affair before the divorce? Is that why Michael had become so distant, so cold? Had I lost my marriage because of Caroline? Or had it started after? Had Caroline seen me broken and crying and decided she wanted him for herself? I didn't know which option was worse. By the time the coffee shop closed at 6 p.m., I had a plan. I would wait. I would smile. I would continue house-sitting like nothing was wrong. And when Caroline came home from her fake retreat, when she walked through that door expecting everything to be normal, I would be ready. I would have all the evidence. All the proof. All the questions lined up. And then I would watch her try to explain. The next 5 days were surreal. I continued staying at Caroline's house, sleeping in her guest room, watering her plants, feeding her cat. I texted her updates. She texted back with meditation quotes and photos of Arizona sunsets, photos I reverse image searched and found were stock images from Pinterest. She sent me a selfie of her in a yoga class. I zoomed in on the background and saw a wall calendar that said September, but the photo's metadata showed it was taken 3 months ago. Every lie was so careful. So detailed. I went through every drawer, every closet, every box in Caroline's house. I found more photos, more cards, more evidence of a life I wasn't supposed to know about. A lease agreement for the cabin, signed by both of them. A joint checking account statement. A vacation itinerary for a cruise they'd taken last winter, the same week Caroline told me she had the flu. I photographed everything. I made copies. I organized it all in a folder on my laptop, labeled simply, The Truth. Michael texted me once during that week, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Just checking in." I responded, "Doing great. Hope you are too." He sent back a thumbs up emoji. It was the most civil we'd been in years. I also did something else. I called a lawyer, not the one who'd handled my divorce, but a new one. I explained the situation calmly, methodically, without emotion. "I need to know my options," I said. The lawyer listened. Then she asked, "What do you want to happen here?" I paused. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? An apology? "I want the truth to matter," I said finally. "I want them to face what they've done." "Then you need to be strategic," she said. "Document everything. Don't confront them until you're ready. And when you do, make sure you have witnesses." Witnesses. That's when the idea formed. On the 13th day, Caroline texted, "Flight lands tomorrow at 2 p.m. Can't wait to see you and tell you all about the retreat. Want to grab dinner tomorrow night?" I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Absolutely. I have so much to tell you too. Let's do dinner at your place, I'll cook." 6 p.m. Perfect. You're the best. I set the phone down and looked around Caroline's living room at the life she'd built on lies, at the home she'd shared with my husband while pretending to be my support system. Tomorrow night. 6 p.m. I picked up my phone again and started making calls. The day of Caroline's return, I woke up at dawn with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't angry anymore, not in the hot, chaotic way I'd been that first night. Instead, I felt focused. Purposeful. Like I'd been walking through fog for 3 years and suddenly the air had cleared. I spent the morning cleaning Caroline's house. I vacuumed, dusted, made everything perfect. I put fresh flowers on the dining table, white lilies, the kind we'd had at my wedding. I set out wine glasses. Good plates. Cloth napkins. Then I started cooking. Lasagna. Michael's favorite. The recipe I'd perfected during our marriage, the one he'd always requested for his birthday. I made it exactly the way I used to, with the Italian sausage and the fresh basil and the 3 kinds of cheese layered just right. While it baked, I made the calls. First, my mother. "Mom, can you come to Caroline's house tonight at 6? It's important. Family meeting." She heard something in my voice. "What's wrong?" "I need you to be there. Please. Trust me." A pause. Then, "I'll be there." Next, my father. Then my brother, David, who lived 2 hours away but agreed to drive down. Then Michael's brother, Ryan. That call was harder. "Ryan, it's Jennifer. I know this is strange, but I need you to come to Caroline's house tonight at 6. It's about Michael and Caroline." Silence on the other end. Then, carefully, "Jen, I don't think you knew," I said quietly. "You were at the wedding." More silence. "I'm not angry with you," I continued, which was partially true. "But I need you there tonight. They need to face all of us at once. Please." He sighed. "Okay. I'll be there." I called Caroline's best friend, Jen. Yes, confusingly, we shared a name and 2 of Michael's close friends who'd also been at that secret Hawaiian wedding. Some people agreed immediately, shame evident in their voices. Others hesitated but ultimately said yes. Finally, I called Michael. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice light. "I know this is random, but Caroline's back from her retreat tonight, and I'm making dinner at her place. Would you want to stop by? Around 6? The pause was so long I thought he'd hung up. "I don't think that's a good idea," he said finally. "Why not? We're all adults. It's been 3 years. I just thought. I don't know, maybe it's time we all moved forward. Be friendly again. Jen. Please, Michael. It would mean a lot to me. I'm trying to turn a corner here." Another long pause. "Let me think about it. 6 o'clock. Just stop by, even for a few minutes." I hung up before he could refuse. Then I texted Caroline, "Change of plans, invited a few people over for a welcome home dinner. Hope that's okay. Just family and close friends." She responded immediately, "Oh wow, you didn't have to do that. That's so sweet. Can't wait. Sparkles. I stared at her message, at those cheerful emojis, and felt nothing. At 5:30 p.m., I was dressed and ready. Black slacks, a cream silk blouse, my hair pulled back simply. I looked like I was going to a business meeting, which in a way, I suppose I was. The dining table was set for 12. The lasagna was staying warm in the oven. I'd opened 2 bottles of red wine to let them breathe, though I doubted anyone would drink much tonight. In the center of the table, I'd placed a manila folder. My parents arrived first, at 5:45. My mother took one look at my face and gripped my father's arm. "Jim, something's very wrong." "Just wait," I said. "Please. Everyone needs to hear this at once." My brother David arrived next, then Ryan, then the others. They clustered in the living room, confused, making awkward small talk. No one knew why they were here. They only knew I'd asked, and something in my voice had made them come. At 6:02, Caroline's car pulled into the driveway. I watched through the window as she got out, pulled her suitcase from the trunk, walked up the path to her own front door. She looked tan and relaxed and happy, or at least, she looked like someone pretending to be those things. She opened the door and froze. "Surprise," I said, though my voice was flat. "Welcome home." Caroline's eyes swept the room, our parents, our brother, Ryan, her friends, Michael's friends. Her smile faltered. "Wow, what's going on?" "Just a welcome home party," I said. "Come in. Everyone's here." She stepped inside slowly, pulling her suitcase behind her. "You really didn't have to do all this." "I wanted to," I said. "Where else would I want to be? You've done so much for me over the years. This is the least I could do." Something flickered across her face, fear, maybe, or calculation. "Well, this is really sweet. Let me just put my bag away, Anne." "Actually," I said, "let's eat first. I made lasagna. It's Michael's favorite. You remember, right?" The room went very quiet. Caroline's smile was frozen now. "Michael's. I invited him too," I said. "Hope that's okay." I thought, why not? We're all friends here. "Jen," my mother said, "what is this about?" "Just wait," I repeated. "He should be here any minute." As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. Michael stood on the porch, his hand still raised. When he saw the crowd of people in the living room, his face went pale. "What?" "Come in, Michael," I said. "You're just in time." He didn't move. His eyes found Caroline across the room, and I saw it, that split second of recognition, of panic, of 2 people realizing they'd been caught. "I think I should go," Michael said. "No," I said firmly. "You should stay. We're all here because of you too, after all." My father stood up. "Jennifer, what the hell is going on?" I turned to face everyone. My heart was pounding now, but my voice came out steady. 2 years ago, I said, Caroline and Michael got married in Hawaii. They've been together this entire time. Living together, building a life together. And for the past 3 years, they've both been lying to me about it. The silence was deafening. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father's face turned red. David stood up slowly, his hands clenching into fists. "That's not," Caroline started. "It is," I said. I picked up the manila folder from the dining table and opened it. "I have the marriage certificate. The property deed for the cabin you bought together. Photos from your wedding. Anniversary cards. Joint bank statements. 3 years of evidence." I laid them out on the table, one by one, like playing cards. "I also have text messages," I continued. "From Caroline, telling me Michael never appreciated me. From Michael, saying I deserved better. All while they were sleeping in the same bed." Caroline was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "Jen, please, let me explain." "Explain?" My voice rose for the first time. "Explain what?" "How you comforted me through my divorce while you were fucking my husband. How you helped me pack up my apartment while you were planning your wedding." "He wasn't your husband anymore," Caroline said, her voice breaking. "You were divorced. We'd been divorced for 4 months when you got married." 4 months. Jenny, Michael said quietly, using the nickname he hadn't used in years, this isn't the way to. Don't, I cut him off. Don't you dare tell me how to handle this. You don't get to have an opinion anymore. I turned to Ryan. You knew. You were at the wedding. Ryan's face was red. I told them it was wrong. I told them they should tell you. But you didn't tell me yourself. I thought, it wasn't my place. I looked at Caroline's friend Jen, at Michael's friends Tom and Marcus. And all of you knew too. You celebrated with them. Toasted their love. And then you came back here and smiled at me like nothing had changed. No one could meet my eyes. My mother was shaking. Caroline, how could you? She's your sister. Mom, you don't understand, Caroline sobbed. It just happened. We didn't plan it. After the divorce, Michael and I kept running into each other, and we'd talk, and we just connected. We fell in love. When? I demanded. When did it start? Caroline and Michael looked at each other. Tell her, Ryan said quietly. She deserves the truth. Michael closed his eyes. 6 months before we separated. The room spun. What? My voice was barely a whisper. We didn't plan it, Michael said. Caroline came to the house one day when you were at work. We started talking. It was innocent at first, just talking. But then you started fucking, I finished. My mother gasped. It wasn't like that, Caroline said desperately. We tried to stop. We felt terrible. But we couldn't deny what we felt. It was real, Jen. What we have is real. So you broke up my marriage, I said. You sat at our dining table, ate our food, slept in our guest room, and the whole time you were sleeping with my husband. Your marriage was already broken, Caroline shouted. You two were barely speaking. You were miserable. Because he was cheating on me with you. The words hung in the air. Michael's shoulders slumped. Caroline covered her face with her hands. My father stood up, his voice shaking with rage. Get out. Both of you. Get out of this house. Dad, this is my house, Caroline said weakly. I don't care. Get out. Mr. Fletcher, Michael started, if we could just. You had an affair with her sister, my father said. You destroyed one marriage and then hid another. What exactly do you think you can say that would make this okay? David stepped forward, and for a moment I thought he might actually hit Michael. Instead, he just stared at him with disgust. You're pathetic. Both of you. Caroline was hyperventilating now. I love him. I love him and I'm not sorry. I know that makes me a terrible person, but I'm not sorry for falling in love. You're not sorry for lying, my mother asked, her voice ice cold. You're not sorry for what you did to your sister. I am sorry for that, Caroline said. Jen, I am. I hated lying to you. But I also have a right to be happy. At my expense, I said. Not everything is about you. Caroline screamed. I've spent my whole life in your shadow. Perfect Jenny, who got married first, who had the career, who everyone loved. Do you know what it's like to always be second? To always be the less important sister? The room went silent again. I stared at her. So this was revenge? For what, Caroline? For being born first? No. It wasn't revenge. It was just finally having something that was mine. He was mine first. And you let him go. Because you were sleeping with him. We were both screaming now, years of hurt and betrayal and resentment pouring out. Stop, my mother said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Both of you, stop. She looked at Caroline with an expression I'd never seen before, not anger, but disappointment. Deep, profound disappointment. You will not speak to your sister that way, my mother said. I don't care what you think you felt or what you think justifies this. What you did was cruel. What both of you did was unforgivable. Mrs. Fletcher, Michael tried again. No, she said. You don't get to explain. You made your choices. You hid them, you lied about them, and now you face the consequences. She turned to me. Jenny, get your things. You're coming home with us. This was supposed to be dinner, I said quietly. I made lasagna. My mother took my hand. Let's go. I didn't go with my parents that night. After everyone left, some quietly, some with final words of disgust aimed at Michael and Caroline, I stood alone in the dining room while my sister and ex-husband remained frozen in the living room, neither willing to be the first to speak. You should go, I said to them finally. Both of you. I'll finish cleaning up. Jen, Caroline started, her voice hoarse from crying. Go, I repeated. Please. I can't look at either of you right now. Michael grabbed his keys. Caroline hesitated, then followed him to the door. They left together, getting into his car, driving away to whatever shared life they'd built in secret. I stood at the window and watched the taillights disappear. Then I went to the kitchen and started washing dishes. The next few weeks were strange in a way I hadn't anticipated. The confrontation should have been the climax, the moment of catharsis, the big explosive ending. But life doesn't work like that. Life continues, messy and complicated and relentless. The news spread fast. In a family, in a circle of friends, secrets like this don't stay contained. Within days, everyone knew. Cousins, aunts, uncles, co-workers, mutual acquaintances. Some people reached out to me with support. Others avoided me entirely, uncomfortable with the drama. Caroline tried to call me 17 times in the first 3 days. I didn't answer. She sent texts, long, rambling paragraphs that oscillated between defensiveness and apology. I never meant to hurt you, one said. But I can't apologize for loving him. You'll understand someday, said another. When you find real love again, you'll understand why we couldn't walk away. I'm still your sister, said the last one. That has to count for something. I deleted them all without responding. Michael sent only one message: I'm sorry for the pain we caused. That was never our intention. I hope someday you can forgive us. I almost laughed at that. Forgiveness. As if that was something I owed them. My mother called every day. How are you holding up? I'm fine, I'd say, and it was mostly true. I wasn't falling apart the way I had during the divorce. This felt different. Cleaner, somehow. The betrayal was complete now. There was no more wondering, no more unanswered questions. Your father wants to disown her, my mother said one afternoon. Caroline. He says she's no daughter of his. Don't do that, I said. She's still your child. She hurt you. Yes. But she's still your daughter. Don't make this worse than it already is. My mother was quiet for a long time. You're kinder than I would be. Maybe. Or maybe I was just tired of carrying anger around. 3 weeks after the dinner, I met with the lawyer again. Do you want to pursue anything legally? She asked. There might be grounds for a civil case, depending on when the affair started and how it affected the divorce settlement. I thought about it. I could make their lives difficult. I could drag them through court, expose every detail, make them pay in tangible ways. But what would that give me? More time thinking about them? More years of my life consumed by their choices? No, I said. I just want to move on. The lawyer nodded. Then my advice is to cut contact completely. Block them both. Don't engage. Let them fade into your past. What about my sister? We share a family. That's harder, she admitted. But you can set boundaries. You don't have to be at events where she is. You don't owe anyone a performance of reconciliation. I left her office feeling lighter than I had in weeks. I did block them. Both of them. Their numbers, their social media, every digital connection we'd shared. It felt like closing doors, one after another, until I was standing in a quiet room alone. My mother struggled with it. What about Thanksgiving? Christmas? Family birthdays? I won't go if they're there, I said simply. I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. That's not fair to ask everyone to choose. I'm not asking anyone to choose. I'm just telling you my boundaries. You can invite whoever you want to your home. I'll make my own plans. She started crying then. This has torn our family apart. No, I said gently. Caroline and Michael tore our family apart. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. 6 weeks after the dinner, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Jen. It's Ryan. Michael's brother. I almost hung up. What do you want? I wanted to apologize. For real. Not on their behalf, but for myself. I should have told you. The second I found out, I should have called you. I sat down on my couch. Why didn't you? Cowardice, mostly. And I don't know, I thought maybe it wasn't real. Like they'd realize how messed up it was and end it. I kept waiting for them to come to their senses. But they didn't. No. They just dug deeper. We were both quiet for a moment. Are they? I paused, hating myself for asking. Are they happy? Ryan sighed. I don't know. They seem happy. But there's this. I don't know how to describe it. It's like they're always looking over their shoulders, you know? Like they know what they built is on a foundation of lies. Good, I said, and I meant it. For what it's worth, Ryan said, a lot of us have distanced ourselves from them. Tom won't talk to Michael anymore. Jen, Caroline's friend, told her off last week. They're realizing that actions have consequences. It should have felt satisfying. Instead, it just felt sad. Thanks for calling, I said. Take care of yourself, Jen. 2 months after the dinner, I went on a date. His name was Marcus, not Michael's friend Marcus, a different Marcus, and we met through a mutual colleague. He was a graphic designer, soft-spoken and kind, with an easy laugh and no connection to my past. Over coffee, he asked the standard questions. Had I been married before? Yes, I said. It didn't work out. Any siblings? I hesitated. I have a brother. He didn't press. We talked about work, about movies, about the city. Normal things. Easy things. At the end of the date, he walked me to my car. I'd like to see you again, if you're interested. I'd like that too, I said, and I meant it. Driving home, I realized I'd gone 2 hours without thinking about Caroline or Michael once. It felt like a small victory. 3 months after the dinner, I moved. Not far, just across town, but to a new apartment in a building I'd never been to with either of them. I hired movers, packed up my old life, and started fresh. My new place had big windows that let in morning light. I bought new furniture, new dishes, new everything. I hung art on the walls that I'd chosen by myself, for myself. I adopted a cat from the shelter, a grey tabby with green eyes who liked to sit on my lap while I read. I named her Luna. I started going to yoga classes. I joined a book club. I took a weekend trip to the coast by myself and ate lobster rolls on the beach while watching the sunset. I was building a life that belonged only to me. For months after the dinner, my mother called with news. Caroline's pregnant. I felt the words hit me, but they didn't hurt the way I thought they would. Okay, I said. That's it. Just okay? What do you want me to say, Mom? I don't know. I thought you'd be upset. I'm not upset. I'm just neutral. It's her life. She gets to live it however she wants. She wants to see you. To tell you herself. She says she misses you. I don't want to see her. Jenny. Mom, I love you. But I need you to hear me. I don't want Caroline in my life anymore. Not now. Maybe not ever. That's my choice, and I need you to respect it. My mother was quiet for a long time. All right. I hear you. Thank you. After we hung up, I sat with the news. Caroline was having a baby. She and Michael were starting a family. The life they'd stolen was continuing, expanding, becoming something real and permanent. And I felt nothing. No rage, no jealousy, no grief. Just a quiet acknowledgement that they were living their story, and I was living mine. 6 months after the dinner, I ran into Michael at a grocery store. It was inevitable, I suppose. We lived in the same city, shopped at the same stores, moved through the same spaces. He was in the produce section, holding a bag of apples, looking older somehow. Tired. When he saw me, he froze. Jen. Michael. We stood there, separated by a display of oranges. How are you? He asked. Good. Really good, actually. He nodded slowly. I'm glad. I think about you sometimes. Wonder how you're doing. You don't get to wonder about me anymore, I said, but my tone wasn't cruel. Just factual. I know. He looked down at his apples. Caroline's pregnant. I don't know if you heard. I did. We're having a girl. Congratulations. He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something in his eyes that might have been regret. I'm sorry, Jen. For all of it. I know you don't want to hear it, but I am. Okay, I said. Okay. Yes. Okay. I believe you're sorry. I just don't think it matters anymore. I pushed my cart past him, grabbed the strawberries I'd come for, and walked away. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I was fine. 1 year after the dinner, I was truly, genuinely happy. I'd gotten a promotion at work. I'd traveled to Iceland with my book club friends. I'd started painting badly, but joyfully. Luna had become the love of my life, greeting me every evening with purrs and headbutts. I was dating Marcus seriously now. He'd met my parents, my brother. He knew about Caroline and Michael. I'd told him everything one night over wine, the whole messy story. He'd listened without judgment, then held my hand and said, "Thank you for trusting me with that." He was good. He was kind. He was nothing like Michael. My mother called one Saturday morning. "Your father and I are having a barbecue next weekend. David will be there. And Caroline and Michael." "Okay," I said. "Have fun." "You're not coming?" "No. But thank you for the invitation." "Jenny, it's been a year. Don't you think?" "Mom, I'm happy. Really, genuinely happy. And part of that happiness is not having them in my life. That's not anger talking. It's just self-preservation. I hope you can understand." She sighed. "I do. I just miss having all my children together." "I know. I'm sorry." "You have nothing to be sorry for," she said firmly. "Nothing. You hear me? I hear you." 18 months after the dinner, Caroline's baby was born. I knew because David told me. He sent me a photo not of Caroline or Michael, just of the baby. She was beautiful, pink and perfect, with a tuft of dark hair. "Her name is Emma," David's text said. "She's healthy. Everyone's fine. Thought you'd want to know." I stared at the photo for a long time. Emma. My niece. A little girl who would grow up not knowing me, not understanding why Aunt Jenny wasn't at birthday parties or holidays. It made me sad, but it didn't break me. I texted David back, "She's beautiful. Thank you for telling me." Then I put my phone away and went back to living my life. 2 years after the dinner, I got engaged. Marcus proposed on a beach at sunset, got down on one knee with a ring he'd designed himself. I said yes without hesitation, without fear, without any shadow of my past darkening the moment. We had a small wedding 6 months later. Just close friends and family. My parents were there, David was there. Caroline was not invited. My mother cried during the ceremony, but they were happy tears. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered when she hugged me. "For surviving. For healing. For finding real love. Thanks, Mom. And for being brave enough to set boundaries. I know that wasn't easy. It hadn't been. But it had been necessary." 3 years after the dinner, I was genuinely at peace. I thought about Caroline and Michael sometimes, but only in the way you think about characters in a book you read long ago. They were part of my history, but they weren't part of my present. I'd built a life that was full and rich and mine. A husband who loved me, a career I enjoyed, friendships that nourished me, hobbies that brought me joy. The betrayal would always be there, a scar I carried. But scars are just proof that you survived something. They don't have to define you. One evening, Marcus and I were cooking dinner together in our kitchen. We'd bought a house, a little craftsman with a garden, when he asked, "Do you ever regret how you handled it? The big confrontation dinner?" I thought about it while chopping vegetables. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd confronted them privately instead. But no, I don't regret it. They'd built their relationship in secret, in shadows. Making them face everyone at once, it brought it into the light. Made it real. Made it something they couldn't hide from anymore. Do you think they're still together? I don't know. I don't really care. And that was the truth. Their story was theirs. Mine was mine. I'd lost a sister and an ex-husband, but I'd gained something more valuable, myself. My dignity. My peace. My ability to choose who got to be in my life and who didn't. I love you, Marcus said, kissing the top of my head. I love you too. Years later, if someone asked me about that time in my life, I would tell them this. Betrayal changes you. It rewrites your past and threatens your future. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about love, about family, about trust. But it doesn't have to destroy you. You get to choose what happens next. You get to decide whether you let the people who hurt you continue to hurt you, or whether you close that door and walk away. I chose to walk away. And on the other side of that door, I found myself. You know, people always ask me, do you ever talk to them now? The answer is no. And I'm okay with that. I know that might sound cold. Family is family, right? But here's what I learned. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting people back into your life. It doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened or owing anyone a relationship just because you share DNA. Real forgiveness is about freeing yourself from anger. It's choosing peace over revenge. It's saying, what you did was wrong, but I won't let it poison my life. I forgave Caroline and Michael not because they deserved it, but because I deserved peace. But forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. Some of you might think the confrontation dinner was too dramatic, too cruel. Maybe you're right. But they had 2 years to tell me the truth. 2 years to give me the dignity of knowing, instead of making me the fool who believed every lie. They chose secrecy. They chose deception. So when I had the chance to bring it into the light, I took it. Was it revenge? Maybe a little. But it was also justice. It was truth. And I don't regret it. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal itself, it was the rewriting of my memories. Every moment Caroline held me while I cried, every piece of sisterly advice, all happened while she was sleeping with my husband. How do you reconcile that? I think people are capable of incredible compartmentalization. Caroline probably did love me, in her way. But she loved what she wanted more. People ask if I wonder what life would be like if I'd never found that ring. Yes, I wonder. Would I be happier not knowing? I don't think so. Because ignorance isn't bliss when it's built on lies. Eventually, the truth would have come out, it always does, and the longer the lie, the deeper the wound. Finding that ring was a gift of truth and clarity. Here's what I want you to understand. You are not obligated to keep people in your life who hurt you. Not siblings. Not parents. Not anyone. Walking away isn't giving up or being weak. Walking away is sometimes the strongest thing you can do. It's saying, I value myself enough to not accept this treatment. I will not light myself on fire to keep you warm. I choose me. My life now is beautiful. It's quiet. It's mine. I wake up next to a man who has never lied to me. I have friends who would never betray me. Is it perfect? No. But it's honest. It's real. And that makes all the difference. Sometimes I think about Caroline and Michael, but they don't consume me anymore. They're not my people. I let them go. And in letting them go, I found myself. So here's my question. If you discovered a betrayal like this, what would you do? Are there people in your life now taking advantage of your loyalty? You know the difference between a mistake and a pattern. Deep down, you always know. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Thank you for listening. Remember, you are worth more than the crumbs of love people throw your way. You deserve the whole damn feast.